Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a Clay Jensen inspired makeup tutorial. Clay's look is very versatile and really goes with any outfit, so I love to do this one. Now luckily for me, I think my cat scratched me in my sleep last night, so I actually already have a visible facial wound, and I didn't sleep very well last night, so I have pretty pronounced dark circles, and both of those things are going to help me out a lot with this particular look. You're going to want to start off with an unwashed, preferably greasy face. Now I'm not going to be using a foundation because I'm too lazy, but if you choose to do so, I would recommend picking a color at least a few shades too yellow for you, to get that signature Netflix glow. So I'm just going to start off with this black face paint, and I'm going to take a little bit of that and dab it around my eye area to give that fresh black eye look. Now, just black isn't going to be enough for our black eye. We're going to want to add some depth by getting some reds, some purples, maybe some blues in there. I'm going to use some of my lipstick. Now that's starting to look like it hurt. Now the only blue I actually have is this blue shimmer eyeshadow from this Wet n Wild palette that I bought in the clearance section of Target for $2.34, but I want to get some blue in there, really deepen this black eye, so I'm gonna use it anyways. Alright, I think that looks like a pretty realistic black eye. Now, visible facial injuries are a huge aspect of Clay's look. You really can't go without them. In addition to this black eye, I'm going to be using a little bit of this zombie gory flesh that I bought in the Goodwill Halloween section a few years ago to give myself a little cheekbone cut. I have no idea what this stuff is. It's like furry wax. It's kind of nasty. Now we can't just leave it like that. I'm gonna have to go in with a little red, a little purple, a little fake blood to really make it pop. Now this is a very special product in my collection. It's called Vampire Blood, and it was also purchased at the Goodwill Halloween section. It really looks like real blood, so I'm gonna use that to accentuate the cut, maybe add a little coming out of my nose. And yeah, I'd say that looks pretty good, pretty realistic. That's step one of the Clay Jensen makeup tutorial. Now, since I don't really have the hair to do a Clay Jensen inspired look, I'm actually going to use an alternative, which is the hoodie with the hood up, a classic Clay Jensen look. Now, this isn't exactly the color that Clay would wear. Clay's more of a dark color kind of guy, but it's all I have on hand. Use whatever you have at home. You'll want to zip it up almost all the way, and put the hood up. Really the goal is that you want to look as shifty as possible. I would work on your suspicious, wary glances. Something like, or. So there you have it. This is the finished look. Make sure to tune in next week when we do a dead, waterlogged Bryce's corpse makeup tutorial. I gotta take this off. It's like 90 degrees out. I think I might keep the makeup on, though, for the video. Is this distracting? So, up until recently, I had actually never watched 13 Reasons Why. I didn't think it was worth my time, and I still think that, but quarantine does weird things to your brain. I honestly don't even remember why I decided to start watching this show, but I did, and my sister and I have now finished the whole 4-season shebang. And wow, it was even worse than I expected. I know that 13 Reasons Why is bad is not exactly a hot take, but of the substantial criticism I've seen of this show, I still feel like there are a few things that haven't quite been covered yet. That being said, not all of the things I'm going to bring up are necessarily new ideas. Some are just my take on what I'm sure are already popular criticisms. I'm just gonna speak to whatever is particularly rage-inducing or particularly hilarious to me. I thought about making this like a 13 subscriber special, but in the time it took me to make the video, I have actually surpassed 13 subscribers. Not to flex or anything. I also realized at some point in the writing process that I have so much to say about this show that I think this will have to be a two-parter. I wrote 14 pages. So this is part 1. Number 1. Hottest of hot takes. In my opinion, this might make some people mad, the seasons ranked from best to worst are 2, 4, 1, 3.
Why you boring me? I'm right.
It's strange to me that people seem to have come to the conclusion that season 1 is pretty good and that the show steadily declines in quality from there, because that hasn't been my experience at all. Most people seem to think that season 1 is at least competent television, and I'm here to tell you that's not true. Season 1 does have the most direction as a story because it's the only one directly based on the book, but its most fatal flaw is that the book was clearly never supposed to be a 13-hour series. The material has been stretched out so far that the show becomes incredibly boring. A lot of the runtime is filler, namely scenes of Clay riding his bike around, scenes of the recipients of the tapes talking about how messed up it is that there are tapes, and of course, gratuitous, drawn-out sex scenes. Season 1 is boring as hell, it's an absolute drag to watch. I don't know why people like it. Season 2, on the other hand. Season 2 is my favorite season. I said it. This season garnered much worse reviews than the first, and I have no idea why. I think people are mad in general that the show continued the story after they were done adapting the book, which was probably part of what fed into the idea that the show declines more and more each season. But come on, season 2 makes the show compelling television for the first time. The episodes actually move along quickly now because things are actually happening and characters are making choices. I think I actually liked the structure of this season better than the first. The trial was a good way to frame the episodes around individual characters again, and I enjoyed hearing from the characters themselves much more than hearing about them from Hannah's annoying perspective. Sorry, I'll get to that later. We get to see all these fun character combinations we've never seen before, like Alex is hanging out with Tyler, Zach is hanging out with Alex, Hannah is hanging out with Zach, Tony is hanging out with Hannah, and Justin is hanging out with Tony. This season is almost like fan fiction of the original book, and I mean that in a good way. It's fun to see them play around with these characters in this context. It's not perfect. I was annoyed at how unrealistically evil the defense lawyer was. The whole Tyler becoming a school shooter thing made me very uncomfortable, and Kelly O'Hara's character has basically no function in the story. I don't know why she's in it. But overall, it's definitely the best season. It takes this dull, muddled show and takes it to a level more comparable with something like Degrassi. My sister also wanted me to add that Justin looks the hottest in season 2. But then season 3 is so bad. All the horrible messages and events in this season aside, it's just so boring. There are only 2 or 3 episodes that don't drag along at a torturous pace. Trying to redeem Bryce was the stupidest idea ever, and the fact that the writers actually thought it would work on their audience is embarrassing. I'll speak more on that later. They introduce Ani in season 3, who becomes the narrator and essentially protagonist of the season, and unfortunately she's really annoying. She's the new Hannah. Everything she says is so pretentious and wannabe cool, and she makes decisions that, to the audience, are inexcusable, like having a relationship with Bryce. A whodunit could have been a really good premise for this season, but it's executed so sloppily. You're never truly misled about the narrative. Every episode basically has the same plot of Ani and Clay confronting a different person, like, we know you killed Bryce, and the person being like, I didn't kill Bryce. It is not at all compelling. They also kind of try to redeem Monty, and they give him a little repressed gay storyline, which I did not appreciate. It's the worst season. It's one thing for the story to be bad, but for the story to be bad and boring is unforgivable. Season 4 is actually kind of amazing. This show is often schlocky. I think that's a good word for it. It has its own brand of melodramatic teen schlock. By that I mean they do a lot of crazy over-the-top things for shock value, and Season 4 really jumps the shark in that regard. Everybody's having hallucinations and getting drunk and doing drugs and having sex and kissing each other and getting in car accidents and projectile vomiting. It's certainly not boring. There are definitely some stupid narrative choices that I'm sure will anger die-hard 13 Reasons Why fans, if such fans exist, especially in the series finale. But by Season 4, I was so used to the writers writing horrible, inconsistent storylines that I wasn't really attached enough to the story to actually care that much. Like, when you're aware that it's a terrible show written by and about idiots, it's hard to be that angry when something happens that you don't like, you know? Anyways, by sheer entertainment value alone, Season 4 is the second best season. Number 2, the best characters are Alex, Justin, and Zach in that order. My sister and I love Alex, and I think we love him mostly ironically. First of all, he's played by a pretty bad actor. No offense to Miles Heiser, maybe he's good in other stuff, but...
Everyone's gonna die and it's all my fault.
No.
Tony was right. Maybe we could have stopped him. I fucked this up like I fuck up everything.
It doesn't help that for 3 seasons he's playing this aggressively straight character, and yet he is so obviously gay.
Okay. Keep lying, Jess. Keep lying so that you can keep fucking Justin.
Again, no offense to Miles Heiser, I believe he's gay in real life. It's just interesting. Also, a big part of his character, probably the most notable part of his character, is that he's prone to these very angry outbursts.
Fuck you! You fucking rapist! Fuck you, Zach.
Okay.
Go home. I'm fucking broken! That's just how it's gonna be, so why don't you just live with it?
Alex, you're not broken.
How the fuck would you know? I've seen you twice since I got out of the hospital.
I had school.
I had fucking school too! What the fuck are you doing? Hit me, you freak! Stop! Stop it! Let me go! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! I fucking hate you! Fuck Justin! He's gonna rat people out about drugs? Really?
Are you okay?
Are you? Are you okay? Ani, are you?
Fuck you guys!
In Season 3, he starts doing steroids, so it makes more sense why he's having angry outbursts, but he was having them long before he was ever juicing. This combination of a poorly acted, obviously gay little ball of rage is just delightful to watch. Then there's Justin. We love Justin. Justin is always having these weird little silly moments, and I have to give credit to Brandon Flynn because I think a lot of these are less written character moments and more actor moments.
Feel free to pass out. The body, after stress, just sometimes shuts down.
Another thing that makes him likable is that he's just the most pitiful character you could possibly imagine, like on a Dickensian scale. He comes from a drug-addled, poverty-stricken, broken home. His mom's boyfriend, Seth, also known as Meth Seth, is a terrifying drug lord who's constantly threatening Justin's life. Justin gets addicted to heroin, he's homeless for some time. At one point we even find out while he was homeless he was having sex with men for money. He goes to juvie for some time. And oh yeah, then he gets AIDS and dies. It's not funny. Like, it wouldn't be funny in real life, obviously, but the fact that they just kept piling it on to Justin. In the first episode of Season 4, he mentions that he had a great college essay. And I was like, yeah, I bet you did. Then there's Zach. Zach is amazing because he's like a vessel for the audience. He is typically the only character who ever says or does anything logical. He's the only one who's like, maybe we should tell the police about Tyler trying to shoot up the school. And the show always acts like he's the straw man. Zach is also just a sweetheart himbo.
Yeah, his Z-Man rocks.
A Z-Man rocks.
Yeah,
What's in it?
everything the Z-Man could get his hands on.
He seems like such a genuinely good, honest person amongst his horrible, stupid classmates. They make him like a nihilistic alcoholic in season 4, which I don't love, but it's kind of fun to see him be unhinged for the first time. And in season 4, we find out that he can also play the piano, and he ends up going to music school. I adore Zach. Number 3, Hannah is such an annoying character. I'm sorry. It's true. It would be one thing if they were trying to show that she herself had flaws or something, but that's clearly not the intention of her character. She's written in that horrible, pretentious, quirky, not like other girls Wattpad style that I believe is meant to make her seem cool, but in reality is unbearably stupid and cringy.
So could I maybe get your number or something?
Or something. So I could give you my number, or I could just give you some fake nuclear launch codes.
It also doesn't help that the justifications for a lot of the tapes are pretty bad. Hannah gets so mad at a lot of people for no reason. Obviously, some of the tapes are completely warranted. Bryce's sexual assault, Marcus being horrible to her, Justin being a bystander, maybe Tyler and Mr. Porter. But come on, Courtney for kind of ignoring her because she was afraid of being outed? Ryan for publishing her poem, anonymously at that? Zach for stealing her compliment notes? Sherry for not immediately reporting hitting a stop sign? I need to talk about that one specifically, actually. It's almost comical how upset Hannah gets about this stop sign. Hannah, you know you don't have to call 911 after hitting a stop sign, right? You know there's a non-emergency line, right?
Give me your phone. Give me your phone!
Okay. How long do you think
Shut up.
But because this is a stupid, poorly written show, there just happens to be a horrible, deadly car accident at that intersection, apparently minutes later. And here's the deal. First of all, you're still supposed to stop or at least be on the lookout if you're approaching an unmarked intersection. And given that the impact of the car accident was enough to immediately kill a healthy teenage boy, I imagine that one or both cars must have been going pretty damn fast. I find it very hard to believe that neither party would have seen or heard the other speeding car coming, down this deserted road in the middle of the night. Sorry, but this is absolutely the driver's fault, not Sherry's. All this to say that some of the tapes really are reaches. Speaking of which, number 4, this is an incredibly problematic concept in the first place. Speaking of the tapes themselves, this whole premise is one of the biggest problems with season 1. The fact is that no one is to blame when a person commits suicide. Sure, there may be contributing factors, but the idea that a specific person or specific people are directly responsible for a tragedy like this seems like a very dangerous message to send, especially to the impressionable, largely very young audience that watches this show. Speaking of which, number 5, the handling of Tyler's storyline is irresponsible to say the least. Yeah, kids, just nicely tell the shooter to stop and then do everything in your power to protect them from the police. First of all, this perpetuates the idea that school shooters are all just victims of bullying and injustice instead of the reality that they themselves are often the bullies. It also perpetuates the idea that victims of bullying and other traumatic experiences are destined to lash out violently. I think the show also misrepresents what Tyler needs. Meaning, his friends keep telling themselves that there's no way they can turn him in, he'd go to jail, and that would be bad.
But if we tell anyone what he did, then he's expelled at least, and probably in jail, and probably tried as an adult, so he's in juvie until he's 21, and then they send him to prison, and then what happens to him?
But seeing his arc play out, it's like, yeah, he shouldn't go to jail, but he definitely has some issues that should probably be dealt with by professionals. Clay, it's nice that you want to help your friend, but maybe he should be regularly meeting with a real specialized therapist, not just the school counselor. Maybe he should get serious help. Maybe he should be medicated. Maybe he should be institutionalized for a while. It feels irresponsible to act like having friends is the only thing one needs in this situation. It actually feels like it's further stigmatizing getting professional help for mental illness by essentially pretending that these options don't exist or that they would be bad for Tyler. It sucks because I don't mind Tyler as a character. I find myself empathizing with him in a lot of his scenes, but then, oh yeah, I remember he tried to kill everyone. Number 6, this show never really decides what it's going to be about. Let's talk about theme. What is 13 Reasons Why about? What is it trying to say? What's the message? Other than a myriad of problematic, harmful messages, most of the seasons fail to identify exactly what they're trying to say. This is another reason why I think Season 2 is the best season. It has the most unified theme. It's basically about justice, and whether it's possible to get justice and closure in a situation like this. What is the theme of Season 1? We seem to have a few options. I think the main themes of the book, I haven't read it, but this is my understanding from having read about it, might be that all these little acts fueled by rape culture and toxic masculinity build up and can really hurt people, as well as that ultimately suicide is preventable. The show does deal with these themes, but never really delves into either of them enough to make them the primary themes of the show. Season 1 feels more focused on the action and the plot itself than what the purpose of the story actually is supposed to be, which is unfortunate because it seems like the book was very much written with the intention of saying something about the issues within it. Season 3 is an even bigger mess. The most prominent theme seems to be that there aren't really good or bad people, nothing is in black and white. The good person is indistinguishable from the bad. Which, okay, I guess that could be true, but using the serial rapist who has been the cartoonishly evil main villain for the past 2 seasons seems like a bad application of this theme. The show would be a lot more powerful, and I would take the whole starting a conversation thing a lot more seriously if it actually had a point. Number 7, the storytelling is often unclear and illogical. This one is kind of hard to explain, but I guarantee if you watch this show, you will encounter many, many scenes at the ends of which you're just not really sure what happened. I think it's a combination of the poor writing and dialogue on top of the poor cinematography and editing that makes a lot of scenes unclear. In Season 1, it's just really hard to get your bearings of who everybody is, what their relationships to each other are. I'm not saying I want more exposition or anything, but it'd be nice if instead of just scenes of the plot and the action happening, we got more scenes of people bonding and developing as characters. This is also a big problem in Season 4. In the second episode of Season 4, there's this scene where Clay is at a frat party for some reason, and he witnesses a really drunk girl being taken upstairs by her boyfriend. He's worried that something non-consensual is going to happen, so he follows them and sees this vision of Bryce standing over the passed-out girl. The boyfriend comes in and assumes that Clay was going to sexually assault his girlfriend. But later, Clay is talking to his therapist about the incident, and he doesn't mention the vision of Bryce. He says that he was thinking about having sex while looking at the girl and got an erection.
I wasn't thinking about the specifics. I saw this hot girl and...
And what?
I was hard.
And it's not clear if he's lying or not. From the way he's saying it, it kind of seems like maybe it actually happened, but the show didn't show us that happening, so we just don't know. There's also a point later in the episode when Clay starts having a panic attack in front of Justin, but then the show just cuts to later in the night when Justin is asleep and Clay is working on his college applications.
Clay, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I'm having panic attacks. The lessons we take from obstacles we encounter can be fundamental to later success.
So what happened? Why is this show like this? It's also funny how often this show abandons entire plot threads, or in some cases, entire characters.
Look, punish me. Fine. But don't cancel prom.
Shit's weak.
One of the first priorities you'd think a show would have would be make it make sense, but I guess that's not the case for 13 Reasons Why. I'm gonna have to wrap it up here for now. I have so much to say about this show. Part 2 will be out soon. Until then, don't hit any stop signs or else someone will immediately get into a car accident and die.